What's up? Hello, everyone. I hope you're well. First things first, I think you can tell that the setup is slightly different today. And the reason for that is because I didn't want to take the same tone that I normally do. I think there is a lot happening in the world that needs, if not addressing, then at least acknowledging. Which we will do later. I still want this to be a place where people can kind of escape from that for a little bit. I also want this to be a place where we get to hear some of the things that we didn't get to hear. So, for example, a couple of weeks ago, we spoke to a girl called Raphi, aka Raphi Music, Raphi Music, who has done amazing things and is releasing all of her stuff independently, and she's doing great things. So, we're going to hear some more music from her. We also had a tragic and kind of sort of embarrassing set of technical difficulties with Rob Danning, who played us an acoustic set and a rock set, and because of Zoom, curse you Zoom, meant that he sounded like he was playing in a bathtub, but like underneath the water in a bathtub, which I just didn't think was right. I wanted to make sure that he was heard properly because he's doing amazing things and making amazing sounds, and that's what I want part of the show to be about. So that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna catch up with some of the music we missed, in a way that we didn't get to hear it before. They have very kindly taken time out of their lives to pre-record something for me and send it through. So I want you all to enjoy that. And then once that's all been said and done, what I would love is to talk about some of the things that have happened today. But before we get into that, let's talk about Raphi Music. She is a wonderful, just a really bubbly person who I feel really lucky to have spoken to, and is doing amazing things in terms of the music. And well, do you know what? We spoke about it together, and I'm going to let you watch that interview. Uncut, by the way, which is maybe a bad move. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I just sent you the video, but yeah, like check it out because it's quite bassy sounds. I don't know if it's like too muffled or like let me know.
Sure, I'll give it an EQ if it needs it, but I'm sure it'll be fine.
Perfect. Cool. How you been?
Yeah, good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good as well actually. Like just busy. Like I really have been busy. So yeah, I've been learning to do macrame. Don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like rope making, I guess. Like, okay. You can make coasters, you can make hanging baskets. It's kind of like a granny thing.
That's brilliant.
It's so relaxing.
Have you made anything yet? Can I see?
Yeah, shall I go get my coasters?
Yeah, can you get your karambis or whatever they are?
Do it. So here they are. So yeah, it's a coaster.
They're well cute.
They're very gratified, but it's very, very therapeutic.
How did you? I've never even heard of it before.
No, neither have I, to be honest. My cousin, she's like not a hippie, but like she loves all that peace with the world and stuff. And she's I went round to hers and she had this rope. She was like, "Do you want to make some coasters?" And I was like, yeah, why not? Like, let's try it. The first one took 5 hours, and then I came home and I loved it so much because I was just so relaxed doing it. It was so therapeutic. I bought a rope off Amazon, and it came the next day, and I made 3. Yeah, yesterday or the day before, in an hour. So it was an hour each, rather than 5 hours for one. So pick that up. So tonight I'm going to my friend's house to teach her how to do it.
What's it called again? Lacrosse?
Macrame,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So I have learned something new in isolation. Like everyone kept saying, like, what are you doing to learn new skills? I'm like, I haven't done anything. I'm just doing music. Like, And then I learned this the other day. I was like, I've actually learned something. I was like, yes.
What kind of thing have you been doing? Because I know you were doing like sessions and stuff. Are you working towards something bigger?
I am, yeah. So I'm looking to do like bigger releases at the end of this year, beginning of next year, and I'm sort of building a team at the moment. So I'm hoping I can finally get some backing to release stuff, because at the moment I just release everything independently. I don't have PR, I don't have anything, so I don't have a budget and stuff. So and that's why I do the most I can myself, like visuals and stuff. So my idea is to really, I've actually changed my sound through this year, and I always thought I knew what I wanted to do, which at that time I did, but I feel like I've evolved a bit in my sound and also progressed as a person in the last couple of months. So I went through like a really weird stage where I was just a bit down and stuff, and it really opened my eyes to stuff, and that's where a lot of the songs on this EP that's coming out tomorrow, like I Cry Sometimes, came from. It was just I was just getting sick and tired of like producers pushing me around in certain things, and I had a really bad experience with one, and I was like, you know what, I just want to, even before lockdown, I actually locked myself in this room and just started writing. That's where the songs came from. And then lockdown happened. I was like, no, I don't need lockdown now. I've already been in lockdown.
It's already happening.
yeah. So obviously I'm open to working with producers again now, but I just went in a bit of a hole. But I'm happy I did at the same time, because it allowed me to, I guess, like learn a bit of production and stuff. Like I said, I wouldn't say I'm a producer, but I've managed to learn how to do little bits, and I've actually done my own song, like my second fully produced song, started one and then got my friend to finish it. So it's actually quite nice to have that involvement in it. It's actually more of a connection as well, which is really nice. So yeah, I've enjoyed it.
So you've kind of had to pick up the skills of creating your own sound and stuff before?
Yeah, exactly. So like before, I would always know what I want to say to producers, like sound wise, this is what I want to go for and stuff, but they'll always ask for like a reference track. I'm not very good at giving reference tracks, so I don't want it to sound like anybody else. I'm like, it's my sound, and they're like, no, but just give me a reference. I find it really hard to explain things, like I always have since a little girl. So my way of explaining it this time round for this EP was sort of having the songs produced myself, like, or even just starting the production for it and then showing it to the producer. And then my friend, she was like, I totally get what vibe you're going for and what direction, because you basically done it for me. And I was like, so this could be a cool way of like doing it now, because now it's easier for me to not have to actually sit there and be like, well, I want it with this and this and this, and then they're like, what? Whereas now I've done it, so they understand it.
That makes sense. So do you play an instrument then?
Yeah, I play piano.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like Mozart or anything, but I can string some chords together. I did do my grades as a kid and stuff, but as I've got older, I sort of didn't practice as much, so I did lose it quite a bit, and then I was like, no, I need to get back into it and learn my theory again, because I think it's so important as well. I love playing piano. Like, for me, it's so weird, because my favourite instrument is like violin, or the guitar, but I just don't know how to play them, so...
That's because I got really interested in producing music for a while as well. I wrote like a lot of sort of like comedy lyrics and stuff like that. So
love that. Kind of do like a years ago kind of track.
Yeah,
like, just like fun, like not overly serious.
That's the kind of vibe that I was loving. But I have no like musical. I can't play any instruments or anything. So I was using
like. Doesn't you're not musical though.
Well, I was using.
A lot of musicians in the world, not musicians, but songwriters, none of them play any instruments or anything, or can't even hold a tune, but they're amazing writers.
I saw that about Deadmau5 actually. He did like a little advert thing that I think I saw, and he was saying that he's never been able to play an instrument, so he has to draw what he sees like on the computer, which is what I ended up doing.
There's so many ways to do it nowadays, because there's just so like technology is endless. So trust me.
For all the budding producers out there, what software do you use?
I use Logic, so that's what I've just always sort of taught myself on that as a kid, because that's all I knew. And then when I was at Brit School, we had to learn Pro Tools, and I was like, what is this? I was like, I do not understand. It's so weird how when you don't actually, like, you get scared of a new software. But as I was getting taught it does become easier, and things that you think are difficult aren't that difficult. But I think for beginners, I'll say Logic is the easier thing. But I think for Pro Tools, it's more vocal production, which is actually what it's better for. But for like beats and like creating beats and stuff, I would say Logic. But I still don't really know how to use Pro Tools, so I just stay away from that.
So you mentioned Brit School. Is that something that kind of, so how do I put this into context? I when I told everyone that I was a dancer and I started doing performances and stuff, they would go, "Oh, you should go on that Britain's Got Talent," and I go, "No."
That is the worst thing somebody could say to you, right? Do you agree? I don't know. I'm always like, the worst thing somebody could say to me is, "Oh my God, why don't you go on X Factor?" I'm like,
God.
no.
It's such like a small. It's not even really to do with the industry as well.
That's what I think. Like, no disrespect to anybody that's ever been on them shows at all, because some people don't have that route, or like don't have a way into the industry or anything like that. But for me, I've always respected the old school way of doing things, and even now to this day, people still keep saying to me like, you do know that people don't do that anymore. Like, no one will sit down and listen to your CD. Or I actually went and sat. People don't do this, but I once wanted to get, when I was looking for management, the door was locked and I didn't know which buzzer to press. So I waited for a delivery man to go in. I was in my car for about half an hour. This delivery man went in. As he opened the door, I ran in and I was like, "Oh my God, so sorry. Yeah, sorry, can I just come in?" And I just ran in with him. And I was like, "You don't know where is, do you?" And he was like, "Yeah, they're on the 4th floor." And I went, "Oh, thank you." And I ran up and I knocked on their door. And they were expecting me because I didn't ring the buzzer. They didn't know I was coming.
You just appeared.
Oh my God. And this guy opened the door and he was like, I was like, "Hi, I'm looking for David." And he was like, "Yep, that's me." And I was like, "Hi, my name's Raphi. I'm a singer-songwriter." I came with this whole like thing, and he totally went, "Oh, actually, I just opened your email." And I went, "Well, that's great. Should I come in and have a chat then?"
That's so ballsy.
Oh my God, it was hilarious. And I walked out and I got nothing from it. And he thought I was a psycho. And then I told my mum, I was like, "Mummy, it didn't work." And then I was like, do you know what? I was so proud of myself that I went down and now, even sat down, like the amount of grafting and grinding I've had to do, and still to this day that I still do, just to try and get somewhere. Like, I think that's the way forward. Like, if you want something, it's not going to fall into your laps. Like, not everybody has those connections. I never used to have connections, and as it's going, as my life's progressing, I am building a bigger network, but you have to put yourself in those situations sometimes. Like, I have nobody musical in my family. I don't know, the friends I have that are musical now, I didn't know them like 5 years ago. So it really is like, I do believe if you want something badly enough, you've got to sort of make it happen, because people say luck, you can create your own luck, and I do believe that too.
Yeah, for sure. I do think it's interesting because some people use it, they know full well what they're doing when they go on there. They know that it's a platform to launch themselves. I think a good example of that is like, though he's not necessarily an artist, is probably Ryan Clark. He knew what he was doing, right? He knew the boost he was going to get from it. So I think it has its place in the world, but I also think in a very big way it kind of diminishes what everybody else is doing, because everybody's out there working so hard, and then just some random person who's funny enough to get on the show suddenly gets all of this stuff.
I have actually been down, and they have hit me up about 10 times actually, the producers and stuff. I got told that I would get through and not even have to audition, because they've already heard me online.
Wow.
I actually went down one time because I was going through this period of my life, and I was like, they keep messaging me, maybe this is what I'm meant to do, because I'm a strong believer of everything happens for a reason. I'm like, maybe this is my path, because they keep messaging, maybe I should just test it out. And so I went down with my mum, and I was sitting there with her, and I don't know if I should say this or shouldn't, but there was this old man next to me that was getting auditioned, and these are done by scouts. So you have been scouted to come to this point, and before it's shown on TV and stuff. And he goes in before me, and we're watching all the performances in the room. And when I say he's got his little ukulele out and he can't sing to save his life, bless him, he was the cutest man ever. Had this little story, and they sat there and gone, "You are amazing, you are going through." He started crying, and I was like, I turned to my mum and said, "I can't do this." And she said, "What do you mean?" I went, "If they're going to be treating a little old man like that, I can't do it." And I left. I was like, I can't.
Yeah.
I just can't do it. I was like, I've done my singing bit. They've told me I'm through, but I can't do it. I was like, we need to go now. She was like, "But you, what do you mean?" And they've given me a contract to sign when I was there to say, like, if I do get through, Simon Cowell owns this of you for like 10 years. And I just went, I need to walk out. I was like, I can't. I just from that little old man, I was like, my heart, I was talking to him for an hour before, And I was like, if they're going to treat people like that, now I understand when people go on the show and then they get a no from the judges, why they're so angry, because they've already been told yes, that they're good from the producers. So if they've already been told they're good by the producer, they're like, well, why am I not good? And it's like, okay, it makes sense now.
I think it's so true. Those shows are so well crafted. I actually, when I was a lot younger, when I was a young boy, I went to a Britain's Got Talent audition, open audition. I can't remember which city. And I remember reading the contract that I was supposed to sign, and it was the prize money is actually not ever, I don't know, it might have changed now, but the prize money isn't given to the people who win. It's just the allotted amount of money that you get for the business to promote you as an individual. So when they say you're going to win 100 grand, you don't win 100 grand. The label will go, okay, so here's the 100 grand that goes towards that person. That was the first thing that made me think, oh no. And the second thing was, when I was in the open audition, they had scouts walking around, and the questions they ask are so intelligent. Like, I was there on my own, so they were like, oh, so where are your parents? And I was like, oh, they're at home, sorry, there's no story here.
Yeah, they just want a story.
It's so
constantly
true.
That's all they want, is like either a sob story or how tragic is your life, and it's like, I understand that people have this enough in the world, and it's nice to be able to connect with people, but don't use people to connect with the
100%.
public. That's not a nice way to do it. Like, if you're genuine about it, and you have and people have those genuine feelings and they want to share that about their lives. Because I know there's a lot of people that don't want to share certain things about their life, and then they get exposed because they want it so much, and they don't have that guidance to say, like, don't go and do that, or don't do this, or don't say this, and they get misled. So yeah, it's completely, I don't know, it's a weird world, that one. I think, like, it's just something I've never wanted to go down. And that's why for me, going to Brit School was so important. And even that, I was out of the catchment area for it. I mucked up my audition. I went in and I was like, hi, my name's, and the whole speakers like went boom like this, and I'm like, hi, welcome. And I was like, hey, everyone went in singing like Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston. I went in with a Miley Cyrus song. So I always say to people, honestly, don't look at other people's journeys and what other people are doing. Do yourself, and if you are real and honest to yourself, that will always shine through, because people will see the real you. And if, like, all it takes is for a little maybe one or two people to believe in you, and that's all you need. Like, and that for me is what I had when I was at Brit School. The teachers there, they clearly saw something when I didn't see it. I was nervous. I was like, oh, I'm not going to get in. Like, it takes me 2 hours to travel here. They want people in the catchment area. When I got in, I did not miss a day of that school for 2 years. I woke up at 4 o'clock every morning and traveled 2 hours, and I did not miss a day, no matter if I was ill, sick, anything, because I wanted to be there so much. It literally was like me living my dream, because it's music 24/7.
Yeah.
So it is a bit of a bubble. When I left, my bubble popped a bit, but but yeah.
Yeah, it is strange, isn't it, when you leave your performing arts school and kind of the world is so very different to how it's explained to you. And obviously, like, you're kind of independently promoting, so you're trying to figure out everything that the labels already know, but on your own. That's got to be really tough.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I go through a lot of times where I doubt myself, and I'm like, oh, I can't do this, and if I don't get big streaming numbers or things like that, I'm like, oh, I'm not good enough, like, what's the point in doing it? Like, but then I stop and remember, my dad always says one thing to me: you've done it before by yourself, so what's stopping you doing it again? The only person stopping you is yourself. And I always look back at that and think back to what he says to me, because it's so true. Just because I put a body of work out now that doesn't get loads of streams doesn't mean in the future it's not going to get loads of streams when I do become, like, more known to the public and get signed or whatever, because you have to put that out there in the world. I think, like, I can't sit here and say I'm not going to be signed because that's them being a pessimist, and I am a pessimist, but sometimes I have to force myself to be an optimist, and it actually helps being that, because you live life a bit more happy. And it's like, not forcing yourself or lying to yourself, because I know, like, I write down goals for myself and I have reached them, and it's sort of like, it's just something to look forward to. I think, yeah, and even now, like, my latest single I put out didn't get playlisted, didn't get picked up, and I was actually hurt, because obviously my song before that is nearly on 1 million streams.
Yeah.
So for me, I was like, how can that one get picked up and this one hasn't? But the amount of industry people I've had message me compared to streams have been great. And now people are listening to me and saying, oh my God, we love this new vibe we're doing. Can we work with you? So I have all these bigger producers reaching out to me, all these bigger teams. So it balances out. Like, literally what I say is just release. Don't worry about, I haven't got this right now. I can't afford to do the PR. I can't afford. Do as much as you can. Like, I can't afford to have a videographer and do all this work. So I'm doing it myself. My brother's not a videographer, but I've asked him if he can film me. I know what sort of shots in my head I want, so until we get that shot, he's going to be out there filming with me. So there is a lot of ways around it. We're in the 21st century, and rawness and being real really resonates with people these days. So that's my biggest advice on it. Is just be yourself, and it will connect to people.
Okay.
So,
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are we about to hear from you? What have you got for us?
So I'm going to perform my single "When We're Gonna," which is actually on the EP as well.
Ooh, exciting times! And that's what we're looking for. In recent times, we've got your EP coming up, but there's something on the horizon, right? There's something after this.
Yeah, there is something after this. I can't talk about it yet, but I have a few songs lined up. Yeah. So once they're in line, then I can tell a bit more, but yeah, there's bigger things coming, so
awesome.
Stay tuned.
Yeah. Rafi, thank you so much again for taking time out of your day for me. I appreciate it, and I'm really excited to see what you get up to soon.
Thank you. Always lovely speaking to you.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks again to Raphi Music for taking the time out to speak to me. I learned a lot there. I think it's very challenging for people to kind of promote themselves in a big and confusing world. So without too much talking, which maybe there already has been, we're going to get into some music. She's pre-recorded her singing live, which is a confusing concept, but it's something we have to deal with now. Her new song from her new EP, which is I Cry Sometimes. Now, if you want to hear the whole thing and find more out about her, then you need to go to Raphi Music or Raphi just on YouTube. This is on Instagram, Raphi Music on Instagram, and Spotify as well. She has amazing sounds, new stuff coming out right now. So let's have a little listen to what's been going on.
Hi guys, my name's Raphi and this is my song When We're Gonna from my EP I Cry Sometimes. Here we go. It's been 30 days since you were my case, yeah. Running out of ways to face you. And I always seem to be the one to bail you out. It's habitual, it's addictional. And I will always wait for ya, no. So don't you make me beg for ya. So when we gonna stop? Make some time just for us, yeah. Hands won't stop turning until we make them we're bound to lose. Too comfortable to make a move. I think we better stop. When we gonna? I've been laying traps for all these other boys. Honey isn't dripping for them, no. Cause if I bet myself I lose control, and I don't wanna show that to anyone but you, and I will always wait for ya, no. So don't you make me beg for ya. So when we gonna stop? Make some time just for us, yeah. Our heads won't stop turning until we make them we're bound to lose. Too comfortable to make a move. I think we better stop. When we gonna? Ooh, babe. Ooh,
so much for having me on the show.
Oi, can we talk about how much of a tune that is? To kind of to be able to write that, to have that kind of vibe, to put it out, to then produce it, to then put it forward to someone, to then have it created, to then that's astounding, I think. And one thing that I think gets overlooked a lot of the times with pop artists and people who create sounds that are maybe synthesized or not reliant on the live element, is we overlook the talent that is behind that, because what these artists are doing are producing sounds that takes a lot of skill. It takes a lot to be able to perform something like that consistently, to make it sound good. And I think she does it very well. So again, Raphi Music, please look it up. We've got some hand claps from Andy Wilson. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, dude. She's got an incredible sound. And again, if you're just watching for the first time or you're just catching it now, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit the bell, because every week we have incredibly talented people who have just come on and made this something that's incredibly wealthy in its talent, and that's a really exciting thing. So moving on. Last week on the show we had an amazing person, an amazing musician called Rob Danning, and he performed for us 2 sets. But I got sabotaged by Zoom. Damn you, Zoom! Zoom will compress audio if you don't tell it not to. And that's what it did. Rob is producing what was originally an EP and has become an album. And it's largely a rock album. That's where his passion lies. That's where his heart is. And that's the sound that he played for us. And unfortunately, Zoom was like, no, we're going to drown you. Like we're going to muffle that sound. Chef Marquis is saying I like her sound. She has a great sound, so make sure you check her out. Raphi Music. Now we're going to move on to Rob Danning. He has very kindly again pre-recorded the 2 songs that we failed to hear properly last week. And if you missed that interview, I put out every single interview over time, chopped. I take the highlights and put them out. And if you want to find those, you need to find them on my YouTube channel. So just at Ben Soiser on YouTube if you want to find those. So let's have a little listen to one of 2 songs that Rob Danning performed for us the last time he was on the show.
Hello, my name is Rob Danning, and if you missed my little chat with Ben last weekend, I've got an album coming out later this year, not on a fixed date yet, but hopefully very soon. So I'm going to be playing a couple of tracks from that album for you. These 2 tracks I'm going to play are the 2 opposite ends of styles that you can get. It's going to be mostly a rock album, but I'm going to start it off with a ballad. This song is called Promises. Okay. Oh, goodbye, but just good night. 'Cause I know that you're doing all the things you love. Why can't I come above? I know that you'll come back home. Hope it's not too late, and that I'll still say I will be waiting here for you to come home. I will be waiting here like I always said I would. Promises made and promises broken. The words that we said and the words left unspoken. Can we dreams that would come true, and the nightmares became true. The ways that I hurt, the ways that I hurt you, I will stand my All I ask is for one more night to lie with you.
Come on. If you don't love anything else about that, if you don't love the guitar work, the composition, the layering, the harmonies, can we at least appreciate the precision in that man's voice? Rob Danning, as he spoke to me about last week, and is I think very important to know, is that he comes from a musical theatre background, and you can kind of tell in the style of his voice there's a very clear and precise way that he sings. Like every way he tackles the note is just perfect. It's nice to listen to a voice where you feel completely safe, and I think he's done that incredibly well. And one of the other things that I love about the songs that I've heard so far is that they're built off of passion. He started off in quarantine. He wanted to make an EP. He had the time, he had the ideas. Remember, a lot of these songs that he's producing now were written some of them 2 years ago. So he's kind of taken this opportunity to kind of put whatever he loves forward. And this next track, I think, demonstrates that very well. He's a big lover of rock music. He's a big lover of the guitar. And this next song, I think, portrays that incredibly well. I'll let him say the rest.
All right, so this next song, as I said, is kind of the complete opposite of that last one. As you can probably tell by the slightly different guitar, things are going to change a bit. So this next song is one for any of the headbangers out there. This is called Gravity. punches pulling away, they take the lion's share. They can see the places you want to be. They can feel the weight of following me. And I can feel the gravity. So there we go, that was Gravity and Promises from my upcoming album later this year. Hopefully you liked either of them. If you did, it'd be really great if you would check me out on Rob Danning Music on both Facebook, and Instagram, or Faceagram, whatever that is. And please do carry on supporting Ben's house party. Thank you, Ben, for putting this platform on for myself and other musicians. And for anyone watching, do go check out any of the other people that have been guests on this show. Take care. See you around.
Whoa, man! I honestly, I'm absolutely blown away by. I mean, not just obviously Rob, who's a very talented musician, but everyone that has been so kind to take time out of their day and to put effort in and to create, not just for themselves, but allow me to kind of partake in this and to spread it to you guys. So thank you so much for being so loyal, and thank you again to Rob for creating such an amazing sound. And you, Rebecca, both saying, yes, mate, love it. Loving this, so talented, covers all types of genres like it's nothing. I think the album could be amazing, and I think it will be as well. I'm really excited for when that comes out. So make sure you follow the two people we've just watched. We've just seen Raphi Music and Rob Danning Music as well. So make sure you go and check both of those out. Yeah, last thing I'll say about it is I just think it's amazing what a trained voice, but also a passionate voice, and also an intelligent mind can create with the tools that are given to them around them. So I think that's awesome. So the last thing I wanted to talk about, just to kind of round this off, it's a shorter one today, and it's shorter for a reason. I was very lucky today. I was allowed to speak at a protest, at a BLM protest in the Ribble Valley, namely in Clitheroe. It was put together by Eve Whittle, and they did an incredible job. The social distancing was amazing. They had markers so that you could see how much space was between everyone, so nobody was closer than 2 meters. They even had extra PPE to hand out for people who didn't bring their own. Actually, everyone brought their own, so people were safe. If that was something that you were worried about at the protests, at least at this one, everyone kept the minimum safe distance, and everyone wore correct PPE, and everyone was very respectful, and everyone was very, I'm going to say, timid. I think it's something that's quite new for this area, and something that's it's very much challenging the status quo. And I just want to thank everybody who took the time to kneel. And we were asked to kneel for 8 minutes and 46 seconds in honor of George Floyd. And I'll speak about him in a moment. And honestly, that taking the knee for 8 minutes and 46 seconds felt absolutely like a lifetime. And I was looking up, and other people were looking up at, did she get the time wrong? This is such a long time. There's no way that it could have been for this long, and it is. Kneel for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, and you see what it means. I've noticed that a lot of people like to discount George Floyd and say that his life didn't matter because of the numerous amount of criminal convictions that he had. And actually, Dave Chappelle said it more eloquently than I could ever put it. And he said that we didn't pick George Floyd, they did. They killed him, and that wasn't right, so he's the guy. And I think it's interesting that a lot of people are going, why all of this now? Why is all of this coming now? Why are you taking down these shows that I love now? Why are these statues now? And I think it's important to note that this isn't something that's happening now. This is something that's been happening for centuries. These are movements and steps that people are trying to make, that they have failed to make, really, in that amount of time. It hasn't come from nowhere. For me personally, this movement has allowed a lot of conversations to be spoken about that I didn't think I would ever get to say beforehand. Much like the Me Too movement, when Alyssa Milano tweeted, and she said, if you've ever been sexually abused, tweet #MeToo. And what that created was this phenomenal driving force and this amazing positive power where the people that felt like they were alone, who couldn't speak up, realized they were part of a much bigger majority and they could say how they feel. And it impacted some positive change. We have a long way to go before that issue is resolved, but we have made some good changes. And that is what this movement is doing here for today. It's Black Lives Matter concerns black people, but it's this issue that has evolved and kind of said, well, actually every racial minority everywhere has been feeling some of this, and we are proud to take on the mantle and help where we can. And it's opened the door to conversations that I didn't think I would ever have, and it's opened the door to people listening to things that I don't think they heard before. And that's the power that we have. We have an opportunity to talk. A lot of my friends who are black, who have been saying this for a long time, I've said it before, they're tired. They've been having this conversation for years, and now suddenly they have to fight again. Not to impress an opinion, but to be patient, to hear the things that they hate hearing so much and responding in a measured way. They are tired and they've been fighting for so long. And I think that's where a beautiful thing is happening, where people who are now only now picking up this mantle are saying, actually, I will listen and I will help to convey this message. And people are having conversations about things that would never have been discussed before, and that's so important. But I'm worried that a lot of people are going in with taking an ideal and shoving it through people's throats, and you can't have a conversation that way. You have to open the door and say, I understand you as a person. It has to work both ways. Not necessarily because the views that people have are correct, but because that's how we start a dialogue, is by standing on equal ground, regardless of how unequal it has been before that. We have to assume the stance. And that's one thing that I think is happening. One person, one book, one film. I said this earlier today. One person, Akala or Dave Chappelle. Akala more so. He is very good at relating UK issues, and his wealth of knowledge is amazing. But Dave Chappelle is very passionate, and actually his wealth of knowledge on the US state of affairs is something that's definitely worth listening to. The Color of Law by Richard Rothstein. I mean, I must have boosted his book sales through the roof because I keep going on about his book. The Color of Law is something that covers concepts that I thought were just make-believe, but issues like redlining, the FHA, the HOLC, all of these things are real things that are put in place by the government to ensure racial segregation. And these are the things that we need to learn about and to know if we're going to have conversations with people who don't know about these things. One film, there are plenty. If you want it slightly more lighthearted, go for Django Unchained. If you want something a little bit more real, go for the 13th. And I promise you, if you watch that film and allow Netflix to suggest more of the same, you will see more that explains all of it. That's my rant over. That's my talk over. But my key points of this: educate yourself regardless of which side of the argument you're on. Make sure that when you're talking with people to be as patient as you possibly can. And I know it's hard. And the third one, I don't think I have a third one. Just thank you for watching and thank you for always being supportive. And I wish you all the best. Andy, I love you too. I love all of you. And hopefully we can find a time when everybody loves everyone. Because that would be amazing. All right, guys. Peace. Love you lots.